Good day, dear esteemed students. You are welcome once again to another topic in CRP 303, Principles of Crop Protection, and we are yet talking pests and diseases. This is the fourth series. This is the fourth topic in the series, and we'll be talking on the important insect pests of root and tubers. Root and tubers that you know are very important to us, and we want to know the important pests of these root and tubers. The first one we'll be talking about is the eradicated grasshopper. We will also be talking about the cassava mealybug, and we'll be talking about some more. So stay tuned and join me as we go on. Thank you very much for your time. Welcome once again. Like I said in the introductory slide, this is the fourth lecture in the series of CRP 303 Principles of Crop Protection, and I still remain your facilitator, Yetunde Alawude, and my email has not changed. It is still yalawude@noun.edu.ng. Moving to the next slide, we are going to be talking about the important insect pests of root and tuber crops. Like you know, root and tuber crops are staple crops and they are very important in our diet. So it is also important to know the pests that cause serious damage for these crops, so I will be able to know how to control it. And the first pest we'll be talking about here is the cassava variegated pea hopper, which is also known as the Zonoceros variegatus, and it is occasionally a severe pest of cassava. And what they do actually is to cause complete defoliation. That means they eat all the leaves. That's what they feed on. They normally feed on all the leaves, and you know that when a crop does not have leaves anymore, it is it cannot photosynthesize. So their aim is to cause destruction, complete defoliation, and this damage usually occurs between November and March. That is the dry season. That is when they usually come in, and they come in their numbers. They are usually a swarm. When they come in, they come after all the leaves and they eat anything green on the field. And perhaps they don't see cassava. The alternative crops are cocoa, coffee, sweet potato, millet, and in this cassava, variegated grasshopper, it is the males and the adults that eat the leaves. So you know that these insects have their stages of development, their stages of growth. So the nymph stage and the adult stage, they are the ones that eat the leaves of these crops. And what they also do is that they feed on the green stems, they go for anything green. So when they are through with the leaves, they now start to eat the green stems and they strip the back of the wood, leaving the plant there. Okay, and this feeding pattern can kill the plant when they leave the back of the plant there and they feed on the leaves. So the plant is left with basically nothing to survive, and so they kill the plant and also reduce yield. So how can this cassava variegated leafhopper be controlled? If you want to control it non-chemically, using the non-chemical control, then you have to go after their eggs, because they normally dig the soil and lay their eggs in it. So what you do is that the egg pods should be dug. They will be dug up to expose the eggs, because once the eggs are exposed to sunlight, then it dries it out and they die. So this should be done over a large area to be effective, okay? Because this grasshopper moves in their numbers. So when they lay their eggs, they do so in their numbers. So you have to do it in a very large area to make sure that this system is effective. And what you can also do as a non-chemical control is by flooding. flooding using water, okay, of egg sites. That's wherever their eggs are being stored and buried rather. Then what you do is that you flood it with water. This can also kill the eggs, and also the migration of these grasshoppers in the crop can be prevented by planting physical barriers, okay, such as trees. What you do is that you protect your field by planting trees around the field. So when they come in, they attack those trees, and before you know it, they will not be able to enter into the field where you planted your cassava. So these are ways that you can control them non-chemically. And if you want to use the chemical control, why not? Insecticide, just such as dimethanoate, can be used on the leaves. You use them on the young leaves, the young um, variegated leaf hopper, and this will be done in November-December period. And you can also bait them. You bait these insects with bran, with wheat bran or other cereals, and you mix them with purple dust. So when you do so, you now put it in between the rows. This will attract the leaves, and when they get attracted to it, they abandon the cassava. So these are ways that you can. Now the next insect pest we'll be talking about is the cassava mealybug. The cassava mealybug is a severe dry season pest, and it causes loss, tuber loss to about 75%. Wow, that is a lot. So the alternative host when you don't see cassava, they go for sweet potatoes, they go for eggplants and tomatoes. So this pest is a very serious pest. Okay, and the mealybugs feed on young apical cassava shoots. Okay, that is what they feed on. The cassava shoots that are just coming out on the top, the young tender ones, that's what they feed on. And they inject toxic saliva, okay, and this their toxic saliva, the effect on the plant is that will cause deformation of the growing tissues of the plant, and stunting also. When the plant is being deformed, then it doesn't grow again, it becomes stunted in growth. And as these new leaves now come out of the shoot, they now die because they have been injected with this toxic saliva. So it causes the death of the leaves. And they also infest the disease now spreads to the older leaves. You know, they attack the younger ones, but the effect now spreads to the older ones down to the stem, and eventually the plant will now look like a candlestick. Okay, you'll be so malnourished, so withered, so stunted, and they have this appearance of a candlestick. This is what the mealybugs look like. They are usually tiny. This picture has been magnified so that you'll be able to see them very well. So that's how do you control the cassava mealybug. You can control it by non-chemical method and by the chemical method. So when you want to control it non-chemically, you have to practice your cultural control. And when you are doing your cultural practices, you have to take note of the planting season. When to plant this cassava stems are very, very important so that you will be able to pick the time when these cassava mealybugs will reach the stage that they will be destroying it. So planting is always effective at the beginning of the rainy season, and this will allow plants to grow sufficiently so that by the time they have grown to a certain stage, then these insects will not be able to attack them anymore. They will have been older and be more resistant. So that is why it's always good to plant early, and also fertilizer should be applied at the recommended rates to encourage healthy plant growth. There's a way this when you apply fertilizer at the right time and the plant utilizes the fertilizer well, it keeps it strong, and then it will not be able to it will be able to withstand any attack of these cassava mealybug. Also, before you plant your cassava cutting, you should dip them in hot water for 10 minutes, and the hot water should not be more than 25 degrees centigrade so that you will not kill the cotton itself. It's not boiling water, it's just hot water. You dip it inside for 10 minutes before planting to kill the cassava mealybug that is inside the stem. So these are the ways of. Also, you can control this cassava mealybug the biological way, and this is by introducing a parasite. Okay, and the name of the parasite is the Santis. What you do is that you introduce, because biological control talks about introducing other insects, other um, insects to come and destroy that particular insect that is disturbing the crop. So the parasites that you can release or introduce is called the Santis, and it is possible, of course, in Nigeria. um, the International Institute for Tropical Agriculture has already practiced it and has used this method. So, introducing local natural elements, okay, also play an important role in the biological control of these cassava mealybug. However, if you want to control them using chemicals, then you dip the cuttings inside or the cassava stem cuttings before you plant. You dip them inside dimethanoate solution for 1 minute to kill any larva that is present in. Other pests of cassava are the white fly, that's the Bernicia species, and the cassava's green spider mite. So what this white fly does is to transmit the African cassava mosaic virus. It is very, very dangerous because it causes 20 to 60% loss of cassava plant. And this cassava spider mite also causes 15 to 80% loss. So therefore, this leads us to our first class activity, which is that you visit any crop farm and collect as many insect pests as possible. You identify them and indicate their common and botanical names. So this is important that you do before our next facility. Moving on, when we started this course, we started with series of with tests of cereals, and I just mentioned five. So I would like to mention more pests of cereals, and another pest that is worthy of importance is the millet head miner. And this is a serious pest of millet. It it thrives in the dry Sudan or Sahelian savanna zone. That's talking about the upper northern region of the country, and can cause 20 to 50% crop loss. You can see it in the picture here, inside, inside the millet, inside the millet head. So that is how they usually attack the millet crop. Look at it inside the picture here, and the um the head miner is the larvae of this head miner that is usually very, very dangerous. It feeds inside the millet heads on flowers and developing grains, so it does not allow the grain to develop, and the damage is seen as a characteristic track over the millet head as the larvae feeds from the bottom to the head. Okay, what the larvae does is that it feeds from the bottom to the head of the millet. So the method of control, the non-chemical control method, is by planting early. Okay, you plant you plant the early maturing millet types. When you plant the early maturing millet, what you do is that you plant them so they will have, by the time they are already mature, then the insects will not be able to attack them anymore because they will have passed the stage that they will attack them. So it's important to plant early. You plant the late you plant late, but you plant the early maturing, the ones that will not be too long on the farm. Okay, this reduces infestation, and the varieties which is resistant to this particular millet head is the one that has compact heads and closed panicles. Okay, so it is important that you take this into consideration when you want to plant. You look for those kind of varieties that have compact head and closed panicles. And if you want to control them chemically, then it's suggested that once you get to your farm and you see two larvae per head, then it is important that you control, you spray, and you use your dimetherine, cypermethrin, parametrin, and carbonyl at 50% head emergence. That is when you apply it when the heads of the millet have come out 50%, and you apply it 1 week after. Another pest we'll be talking about of cereals is the sorghum shoot fly. The sorghum shoot fly, and it is prominent in the grassland areas of Nigeria. As you can see in this picture, you can see it coming out of the stem of this sorghum plant. And the larvae is the one that is of importance here. Crawls into the funnel, like you can see in this picture here. It crawls into the funnel between the outer leaves and the newly curled leaves. So they feed around the wall, and what they do is that they hear the growing point, and they eat the heart of the plant. Okay, they attack the, the, the wall part of the plant, the leaves, the flowers, and they eat the heart of the plant. So the dead heart can be seen easily, and when you pull it out of the base, you can smell a very foul odor. So the young whitish yellow maggot, okay, that is what you can see here, feeds on the decaying tissue. Okay, it will damage it and now feed on it. So how do you control them? The best way to control them without using chemicals is to use high yield resistant varieties, and also to plant early. Plant your sorghum at the start of the rainy season to reduce the likelihood of this infestation. And you also cut back the wild type, okay, which serves as an alternative host for the pets. You do not plant the wild type. It's better for you to go for the high yielding resistant variety. And if you want to control it with chemicals, you use your cypermethrin, and you use it 28 days after germination. Another pest we'll be talking about is the sorghum leech, and it is like this. This is what it looks like in the picture here. And it's also a major problem in the northern region. Yes, we are talking northern region this time around because that is where most of the grains of this country come from. These grains usually thrive here at the northern side of the country. So that is why most of the pests also come from here. And it is a major pest, and it occurs in the early seeding stage of the plant. Also, the larvae is destructive. They feed on the developing seeds, and when they feed on it, the sorghum head becomes flattened and shrunken, so it doesn't have anything in it. That is a very serious damage, and at the end of the day, you just see empty spikelets all around. How do you control it? Non-chemical control. Plant early and uniform planting. Plant and harvest at the same time. Don't plant in batches. Plant everything uniformly so that the maturing dates will be able to be at the same time. Okay? And also the infested or deformed ears should be pulled out and destroyed by burning. You burn it and you burn the larvae with it also, so that you will not have a reoccurrence of this infestation. And how to control it chemically is by using multiple insecticides. as directed. Once you get to your field, you see 10 adults per panicle. You spray them, you spray monophosphorus and endosulfan. You also spray with phosphorus talon. These chemicals are effective for this pest. The rice white stem borer is the next on the list. This one attacks rice. You can see it in the picture here. It's an important pest of rice, irrigated rice. And what they do is that they attack this rice at the full filtering stage. So they penetrate and they feed on the stem. When they now feed on the stem, they migrate to the filters of the plant. And at the end of the day, they just feed when they must have fed on the stems and the stem is weak, the stem will now break. That is how this larvae destroys rice. You can control it culturally by using early maturing varieties, and you also plant early in the season so that the plant will have matured before the pest attacks. You also remove weeds and alternative posts from around the rice field, and once you have an economic threshold of 2 eggs per mass of 20 hulls, then you go ahead and control them. So the chemical control is difficult because this pest is inside the stem. Okay. However, you can apply granular formulation and carbofuran to control this particular rice white stem borer. Having said that, another pest of rice, the African rice gum midge, okay, and sporadic and serious pests affecting lowland rice in Nigeria, including the Guinea, Savannah, and the forest zones. So early and severe infestations can cause a total loss of the whole rice crops. The alternative course, however, is the wild grass. So this is what the African rice gummy looks like, and these are the serious infestations. Also, it's worthy of note that these pest attacks only the rise at the early filtering stage. The early filleting stage, that's when it attacks it, and what it does is that the larvae will move down until they reach the apical or lateral buds, and then they swell and form a gall. They form a gall around this region, the apical and lateral bud, and the formation of this gall is often called the onion leaf or silver shoot. And at the end of the day, this gall, they won't produce, this rice will not produce panicles at all. That is how destructive they can be. They will not produce panicles at all. If you want to control them non-chemically, you avoid damage by planting rice as early as possible before the rains. Before the rains, that is when you plant your rice. And to control them chemically, you use your systemic insecticides such as your monophosphorus and carbofuran. This is effective against this African rice gum. The sugarcane borer is next. This is what it looks like. It's an important pest of sugarcane, and the larvae is the one that is the most destructive. They feed on the leaf sheath, while the older ones bore into the stem to feed at the base of the stem. So they eat the heart of the plant and cause the plant to die, the young plant to die. So the newly hatched larvae feed on the leaves, usually boring into the midway, that's the middle part of the sugarcane borer, bores into the stem and destroys the plant tissue, causing the dead heart symptom. Okay, you want to control them non-chemically. Then the stubble, because you cannot control them without pulling them out. You have pull them out and burn the stubble and crop residues so that you will not have any insects laying eggs anywhere or on the dead leaf litter or anywhere. It should all be burnt. And to control chemically, you use your endosulfan or carbonyl for effective um, for effectively controlling the early stages of their. Okay, we are done for today, and like I said, I would like you to bring your insects to the next class so that we can look at it, look through it, talk about it, so that you can see them for yourself physically. And I hope you have learned a lot. Thank you so much for listening, and see you again in the next class. Bye bye.